भारत और पाकिस्तान के दरमियान शदीद कशीदगी के दौरान पाकिस्तान मुनासिब वक्त पर सलामती काउंसिल का इजलास बुलाने का ख्वाह है। सफ़ीर आसिम एपीपी भारत के ज़ेरे कब्ज़ा कश्मीर में हालिया हमले के बाद भारत की जारहाना इक़दामात के नतीजे में पैदा होने वाली सूरत हाल पर पाकिस्तान गहरी नज़र रखे हुए है और मुस्तकिल अक़वाम मुत्तहिदा में पाकिस्तान के मंदूब सफ़ीर आसिम इफ्तिखार अहमद के मुताबिक जब मुनासिब वक्त आएगा तो पाकिस्तान सलामती काउंसिल का इजलास बुलाने की दरख्वास्त करेगा।
Let me begin by thanking all of you for joining for this briefing on a subject that I'm sure you would have been following closely. In view of the recent developments in South Asia and the growing regional tensions, including the looming threat of military escalation, it was important to provide an update on this evolving situation and to also provide you Pakistan's perspective. The unjustified actions and unilateral measures announced by the Indian government on 23rd April, followed by belligerent public statements, have significantly heightened tensions and pose a serious threat to regional peace and security. In this politically motivated and highly provocative environment created by India's irresponsible and destabilizing actions in the wake of the Pahalgam attack in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, as we speak, there is reasonable intelligence indicating towards imminent threat of kinetic action by India against Pakistan. In response to these developments, we have briefed the UN Secretary General, the Presidents of the General Assembly and the Security Council, the OIC group in New York, many other fellow members of the Security Council, and we have also shared our position and concerns with various other international partners across the globe. Colleagues, India's conduct, marked by a disregard for international law and regional stability, is incendiary and dangerous, with the potential for far-reaching and disastrous consequences. Let me underline that Pakistan does not seek escalation. This has been made clear by the political leadership of Pakistan and at all levels. At the same time, we are fully prepared to defend our sovereignty and territorial integrity. Should India resort to aggression, Pakistan will exercise its inherent and legitimate right to self-defense as enshrined in the UN Charter. India's pattern of military adventurism is well known. Predictably, within moments of the recent attack, India began leveling unsubstantiated and misleading allegations against Pakistan without presenting any shred of evidence and without any credible investigation. Even 10 days after the incident, no credible information about the perpetrators has been made public or shared with us. Pakistan categorically rejects any attempt to associate it with the 22nd April terrorist incident in Pahalgam in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Pakistan condemns terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Nothing justifies targeting of innocent civilians. We are concerned over the loss of lives in the Pahalgam attack, and we have extended our condolences. As a victim of terrorism itself, no one can feel the pain of those impacted by this scourge like Pakistan. Immediately after the incident, Pakistan constructively engaged within the Security Council with our fellow council members to put out a press statement condemning the attack in the strongest possible terms. On the other hand, in response to India's provocative and unilateral actions, Pakistan's National Security Committee, chaired by the Prime Minister, convened on 24th April and was obliged to undertake certain proportionate countermeasures. Of grave and particular concern to us is India's irresponsible decision to hold in abeyance the historic Indus Water Treaty of 1960, which is a landmark legally binding agreement brokered and guaranteed by the World Bank. The treaty guarantees Pakistan's right to the three western rivers, which serve as a lifeline for over 240 million people of Pakistan. Holding of the Indus Waters Treaty in abeyance is unilateral and illegal. There are no such provisions, in fact, in the treaty. India's unilateral and unlawful actions are bound to undermine regional peace and stability with catastrophic implications. Pakistan's National Security Committee has made it categorically clear that any attempt to stop or divert the natural flow of water that rightfully belongs to Pakistan in accordance with the provisions of this treaty and the usurpation of the rights of the lower riparian will be considered as an act of war. Such a move poses an existential threat to the people of Pakistan and will not be tolerated. In fact, if left unchecked by the international community, such actions risk setting in a dangerous precedent that could undermine the legal rights for lower riparian states, potentially triggering new global conflicts over shared water resources. It is unfortunate that India continues to weaponize terrorism and associate its unsubstantiated allegations as part of its disinformation strategy for political ends. In fact, this is now a familiar template aimed at diverting attention from India's inability to suppress the inalienable right of the Kashmiri people to self-determination, its security failures in the IIOJK, as well as its decades-long state terrorism and oppression targeting the Kashmiris. Colleagues, it goes without saying that it needs to be highlighted that the root cause of conflict and instability in South Asia is the long-standing Jammu and Kashmir dispute that remains unresolved for nearly 8 decades. Durable peace, in our view, will remain elusive until there is a just and lasting settlement to this core issue in accordance with the relevant UN Security Council resolutions and the wishes of the Kashmiri people. We are deeply concerned by reports of widespread human rights violations in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, including in the wake of this incident, and that includes arbitrary detentions, home demolitions, and collective punishment that is being imposed on the innocent Kashmiri people. Pakistan desires good neighborly, peaceful, and cooperative relations with all its neighbors, including India. We advocate for a relationship grounded in mutual respect, sovereign equality, peaceful coexistence, and peaceful resolution of all outstanding disputes. But this aspiration must be reciprocated. It cannot be a one-sided affair. In conclusion, the situation unfolding in the region poses a serious threat to international peace and security. Pakistan has urged immediate de-escalation. We believe escalatory rhetoric and unilateral actions are counterproductive. Pakistan has acted with maturity and responsibility. Regional peace and security is a fundamental pillar of Pakistan's foreign policy, and Pakistan is deeply committed to this objective. We appreciate the efforts that have been undertaken by the UN Secretary General and many of our friends, in fact common friends of India and Pakistan, calling for cooperation, dialogue, and de-escalation. We believe these efforts and outreach should continue because the situation remains very tense, and these efforts should in fact be intensified to prevent escalation and conflict. Escalation in South Asia, that's a region which is home to close to 2 billion people, favors none. It is time for sanity to prevail and to allow dialogue and diplomacy to prevent the situation from spiraling out of control.